Hi, folks. I want to have a quick discussion with you today about some questions that I have been receiving through my YouTube channel, but also through my course on Udemy about other card reading methods and if I've interacted with them, what my thoughts and feelings are about them. And yeah, I will say I have interacted with multiple other card reading methods, obviously not all of them because there are a million of them. I mean, the Mystic method was a method that came to me that pioneered because it was what I needed in the moment. So there are obviously myriad card reading methods available today for folks. And yes, I have interacted with some of them. And before I even start this discussion, I just want to give you my advice that I always give is the point is to find what works for you. So I don't really believe there is a good and a bad as far as card reading methods go. I believe that you need to find what speaks to you and what speaks to your soul. That's what's most important. The Mystic method was developed and I feel like it was inspiration because the other methods weren't resonating with me. They weren't giving me really what I was looking for, what I needed. They didn't fit with my beliefs and ideologies. So I felt very prompted one day to just start kind of creating my own and just following inspiration and following revelation. And here we are, we came to the Mystic method. So yes, I have interacted with a number of other methods. I studied the Order of the Magi method for a long time. Looked at the yearly spreads, how that works with your birth date and whatnot. And some of the information that I get from the cards or for the cards was inspired by some of the information in the Order of the Magi method that, the Order of the Magi method, if you're familiar with it, claims to have been around for thousands of years, passed down from generation to generation until today. The way that they use the spreads and whatnot. Now, a lot of their interpretations for the numbers and the cards are based off of numerology, some alchemy, things like that. So they're not unique to the Order of the Magi's way of looking at things. A one is a one is a one. A one is a beginning, right? A 3 or 4 or 5. 4 is stability. That's pretty common in a lot of traditions. So that's really one of the methods that got me started into cartomancy, if you will, card reading. So what I found though for me, so this is again my story, why I ended up here. I found that a lot of those methods were too rigid. They were too prescriptive. It was, this is the only way to do this. And that just didn't work for me. Right, that just didn't resonate with my soul. Why? Because I have learned in my life that God will speak to me in any way that I allow him to. So my interpretation of the things around me matter. The choices that I make matter. That's very important to me. Now, if I look out the window and see a thunderstorm rolling in, that always is a sign of love of God for me because I love thunderstorms. I love thunderstorms. I love the rain. I love the lightning and thunder. It's just a powerfully spiritual moment for me to be in a thunderstorm. I just absolutely love them. So thunderstorms are very loving to me. So to me, that is a sign of love from God. It's a little warm fuzzy, if you will, a wet and loud warm fuzzy. But for other folks that I know, hate thunderstorms, especially wind. One person whom I love very dearly, is very close to me, just terrified of wind, was born that way. And therefore, thunderstorms, not necessarily a sign of love from God. Not a warm fuzzy for sure, right, for that person. So those kinds of things matter. So that's why when learning the Mystic method here, it's why I say if you turn over a card and you don't necessarily agree with the interpretation of it, if the spirit is telling you something differently, go with that. Go with your inspiration. Don't fight against it. Learn to channel the love of God. Learn to channel the messages from God through you, through your feelings, through your inspiration, through your revelation, right? Not just some rigid card. So if this 7 of Hearts represents betrayal, challenges in love. 7s often represent challenges and difficulties. It's that roadblock in the pathway, right? So the 6s are that pathway, and there's a roadblock thrown in there. If you flip this over and say, "Oh, that's not what that means to me," okay, follow that. Follow that prompting. That means something. Keep a journal. Start writing these thoughts down in a journal to where you can say, okay, this is how I interpret this, and then use that. Go forward with that. I think that's a beautiful thing. That's one of the beauties of the mystic method. Any card reading method really that'll allow this is that you get to make it your own. And mysticism is all about finding hidden knowledge and bringing it into an actionable, understandable world. So hidden mystical knowledge that is out there, it's ready. God has it for you, ready to be accepted. You just have to go looking for it. Some things we need to put in effort to find the answers to. That's what mysticism is really about, is finding the mystical knowledge and bringing it into this. That's what a mystic does. Makes it actionable, makes it understandable. So that's what the mystic method is all about. So yeah, again, back to some of these other methods that I have looked into. I think they're beautiful. I think they have some real beautiful teachings in them, and you can learn some really great things for them. It just, for me, they were a little too prescriptive, right? The yearly spreads in the Order of the Magi method were too prescriptive for me. It was too, this is exactly what's going to happen in this year of your life. When you turn 32, this is your spread. This is exactly what's going to happen. There's no deviation from that. It's what has always been. It's what will be. For me, agency is incredibly important. My choices matter, as I was just talking about. So I feel like that was just too rigid for me. There was no place for me in that method to say, well, what if I change my mind? I'm a different person now than I was last year. I learned this. What about that? To me, it just kind of locked me out of it. So the mystic method allows me to partner with God. It allows me to be a partner. It allows me to turn to him and say, okay, I need some guidance. Here's what's going on in my life. Maybe things are a little bit rough. Maybe they're not rough. Maybe things are great. And I just want to know, if you've got any advice or any guidance for me. And the mystic method allows me to do that, to get guidance from God and then use that guidance in my life instead of, this is exactly what's going to happen, right? Tomorrow you will break up with your significant other, something to that effect. That just was too stringent for me. Now, that may work for you. That may be what you're looking for. And if that is, then I definitely encourage that you look into some of those methods and find one that really works for you. Again, for me, that was just too much. Now, in the mystic method, it might be, hey, FYI, there might be some struggles coming up. You might have some difficulties in a relationship coming up, and you may want to be aware of that. And here's some things I think you want to know in your life, right? Here's some beginnings, some endings. Here's some blessings that I'm sending your way. Here's some understandings that you may need to have to help temper those blessings, understand those blessings. So if you are going to have some relationship struggles, here's some other things that I think could go along with to help you learn from that moment, help you grow from those struggles. That's what this is about, right? I truly believe that with God, as it says in the book of Romans, chapter 8:28, for all those that love God, all things work together for the good, for those who love God and those who are called to the work. I think that's true. I think there is a truth between good and evil. Evil definitely does exist. For those who love God, there really isn't good and bad. It's all good and good for you, right? So when something bad happens in your life, it's actually an opportunity to learn and grow. So, okay, this is a tough spot in my life. What can I learn from this? And that's very important. And that's where I feel like the mystic method really works for me. It's that kind of message. It's, hey, here's a difficulty that's coming up. Here's how I want you to learn from it. So, very, very different, right? So, yes, other methods, have I looked at them? Yes, I have. And some of them are beautiful. I love some of them even from an artistic standpoint. So I'm a huge fan of tarot cards from their artistic standpoint. I just think they're absolutely beautiful. The artists that create these cards are incredible. I think they're incredible. I prefer card reading using readily available everyday playing cards versus the tarot cards. If you've studied the Order of the Magi method, and if you believe what they say, you'll understand that playing cards are actually much, much older than tarot cards. Go back thousands of years according to traditions, and I think there's some truth to that. Obviously, I know that the current version of the American playing cards is not what was around thousands of years ago. Even I spent some time in Europe, and the suits in Europe in many places are different than ours. So obviously diamonds hasn't always been diamonds. Clubs hasn't always been clubs. Those are modern day things, and that's fine. Things change, and we can adapt our interpretations to them. But I do think that cards have been around for a very long time. But anyway, sorry, rambling. I think tarot cards are beautiful. I think playing cards are beautiful. I collect bicycle cards because the artwork on some of them is absolutely incredible. They're absolutely incredible. So find whatever system works for you. Find what other system resonates with you and with your soul. And that is what is most important. If that's the mystic method, great. I really appreciate that. And I'm here with you to walk that path with you. And I welcome you on the path. If it's a different method, then that's awesome too. And I encourage you to explore that. Most important is to find the system that works for you and for your soul and guides you in the direction that you need to go and that God wants you to go. Okay, thanks for being with me.